You're about to see an interview that I did last year with a great organization called 180 Degrees. Unfortunately, my microphone kind of conked out on me during these two interviews. Now, luckily, video editor Nick was able to salvage most of it, but if you're wondering why the audio is a little wonky, that's why. And also, you may be asking, Chris, why the hell did you do these interviews? You're an author and a content creator. You don't work in criminal justice or justice reform. Well, it's because they're the organization that I gave $10,000 to from the Kickstarter money for Heart of Iron, which does have themes of criminal justice reform and trying to reintegrate back into society. And they were very happy to receive that, so I thought I would sit down with them, chat with them, and talk to them about this very serious issue. Preferably with a working microphone.
Start with your name and what you do here.
Okay, so my name is CITADEL. I'm an associate director for 180 Adult Program. So I work with Clifton Place, Great River Landing, and also Columbia Franklin Apartments.
Gotcha. So you work with almost exclusively with the previously incarcerated. So.
Yes.
Gotcha. Just start with your name and what you do here.
I'm Janet Holloway. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer at 180 Degrees.
Awesome. And what is 180 Degrees? What do you do? What problems does your organization serve?
We're an organization that has been around for 50 years in Minneapolis, and we work on two issues. With kids, we're working to prevent youth homelessness and sex trafficking. And for adults, we're helping men exiting prison rebuild their lives in the community, find employment and housing, and get a fresh start.
Plus the obvious, why just men? Like, is there a women program too in Latte?
We don't offer that right now. The founding story of 180 Degrees was a man named Robbie Robinson spent time in and out of prison because of addiction. So he would be released from prison, but struggle because he didn't have the services that he needed. And so when he went back to prison, he worked with a parole officer and a couple other inmates. And together, they decided that there needed to be a place to help men like them. And so they got an old mansion donated in Minneapolis from a wealthy family. And Robbie Robinson and his wife came and rehabilitated the building. And then later, 37 men were able to move in and work as a live-in community and get the help that they needed. And it started as a men's program, and we've continued that for over 50 years. And we haven't really had the resources to do a program for women yet.
Why did you decide to work here? It's not usually like, Mommy, Daddy, I want to work with previously incarcerated men and get them back in life.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I never would have imagined that. I had like half my career in like a for-profit world, and I actually liked that. And then, Providence is great, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. But I like taking what I learned and applying it in the nonprofit world because there's so many needs. Like, I'm just bringing expertise around. Like, I work on the communication side. So how can we tell our story better so that more people know about the needs of clients, and maybe they'll donate. And then before you know it, we're opening a new building.
So there's this one content creator who just called a fairy for TikTok videos. Why did you decide to work here? That was that a dream aspiration as a 5-year-old Lee?
No, not really. So I do have a background in criminology. So, and I'm also passionate with the population we work with. So I just felt like just giving back to this population, because a lot of people don't want to give nothing to this population. Mm-hmm. So I'm so passionate about it, and I feel like there's always an opportunity for a person to turn a life around. So once we get the circle changes, stuff will turn around for them.
So generally speaking, what happens when a person is released from prison? How do their friends or family react? What community supports do they typically have or not have? What are their chances of finding a decent job, getting married, having kids? What are the odds?
Well, there's a few different things. So when you get released from prison, if you a civil rights release, sometimes you get sent to a halfway house, like 180. So we do accept guys coming to 180. And what happened is that once you get released, a lot of guys are overwhelmed. There's confusion, there's fear because they've been incarcerated for a long time. So they try to readjust back to society. So what happens is that the first thing is housing was a struggle because sometimes we get the DOC will only pay for guys to stay at critical place for 60 days. So if you can imagine, 60 days is not enough time to like try to get a job, get housing. So our goal for that 60 days is to get guys stable enough. So what we do is that some guys get released with our proper documentation like the ID, social security card, birth certificate. So we try to help guys get those important documents to get jobs. So once they get these documents, sometimes the job search becomes another difficult aspect because a lot of places will hire guys with criminal background. So
Isn't that illegal?
it should be illegal. I would assume it should be illegal. But a lot of places, because of your background, they don't want to hire you, or they will hire you, but then after they realize your background doesn't fit what they're looking for, they let you go. So as a result, a lot of guys work for like jobs that is most temporary jobs. So jobs that are not stable, jobs that don't pay well, jobs that is actually demanding on a physical. So a lot of guys have been in prison for a long time. They can't do this job for a very long time. So another thing is supervision. So a lot of guys, once you get released from prison, you're on supervision. So you got to do a drug test, you got to have a curfew, you got to check in with a probation officer. And some of our guys, they're not very good with technology. They're not good with keeping track with appointments, with time and dates. So they will miss some of these stuff. And that's called technical violation. So once you miss an important meeting with your agent, or maybe you miss a drug test, you can be violated and sent back to prison or go back to jail.
So that's for skipping or
missing something important. Yeah, just maybe a failed drug test. So having a failed UA can send you back to prison. So that's another struggle a lot of our guys have. So we also have support systems because a lot of guys they're from different environment where they don't have the proper support system when they get released. So it's just us and them trying to figure out the next step in their life. So they don't have the proper support system to kind of help them navigate society.
So the recidivism rate in this country is over 50%. That is a fancy way of saying that more than half of everyone who's been imprisoned will be arrested and then thrown back in. It's the highest rate in the world.
Right.
Why does that happen?
Well, I think one key word for that would be a lack of support system. So a lot of guys that come out that don't have the proper support system to stay stable, kind of reoffend or maybe violate, like maybe technical violation is an example where a person will like maybe have an appointment with an agent, don't show up on time, or maybe have a UA that's dirty. And then sometimes for no new crime. It's just for stuff that the DOC said that you have this over your head when you get released from prison. If you violate, you go back to prison. So that's why we'll see a higher number of recidivism rate because of these technical violations issues.
Gotcha. So just because they're not crossing their T's and dotting their I's.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
That seems harsh.
Right.
Why would you send someone back to prison for missing an appointment or being just late for an appointment? It just seems really dumb.
Yeah, you're being late because a lot of guys don't drive. So they catch public transportation. Sometimes they will miss the bus to get on the wrong bus. So if you get late to an appointment or maybe you get late coming back to a halfway house, sometimes it's seen that you do something else. Sometimes the agent will require that you get a warrant out for your arrest. And you get sent back. Sometimes you get restructured or other activities.
I remember I was late for work all the time because of the bus schedule. Yikes. So last year, my fans and I, we donated 10 grand to your guys' organization. It was really fun. It was a really nice surprise. How has that been spent? Did it get spent on Clifton Place? What resource? How have those resources been used?
Yeah. First of all, thank you to you and your fans for incredible generosity to support young people in our organization. We use the funds for our Brittany's Place program, which works with young girls ages 10 to 20 who've been exploited. These are girls who have experienced sex trafficking. And we operate the largest program in the state of Minnesota to provide housing, short-term housing, and some really specific support for these young girls. We operate an emergency shelter, and they get off the streets. They come into our program, connect with really caring and passionate staff, and start to heal and rebuild their lives. And so one of the visions that we had as we knew when girls were ready to leave Brittany's place, there aren't a lot of places for them to go as a next step. That's been a big need. And so we identified, could we expand services and offer a next step housing program? Our shelter is just for 90 days, although some girls do stay longer. With the money, we were able to open up a longer term program for girls where they can stay for 18 months. And it's a private home. And the girls live on site. They have a little bit more independence, but they still get structured support from our team. And, it's been really a great move to be able to offer that program because there's such a big need for that. So thank you to you and your fans, because that's what's possible with that type of contribution.
You're welcome. They voted for that, by the way.
Thank you.
It was 180 degrees for Trevor Project.
Oh,
I know, because there are a lot of peer characters
sure.
too. I know, I thought Trevor Project would win because 180, it's great, but like it's so local. And I'm like, no one's gonna know what this is. But Trevor Project has the brand recognition 2-1.
Yeah,
2-1 it was for 180, and even those who voted for Trevor was like, but if the money ends up going here, that still looks like so.
That's great. Well, Trevor Project is a great organization, so I'm honored to know that your fans chose us.
So a lot of we raised the 10K, but a lot of my fans struggle financially. So while I do encourage everyone to donate to you guys, that's just not feasible for most of them. So what is something else that they can do to support your cause and the cause of
Well, I think just being aware of what the issues are really makes a difference. So learning about, why are kids homeless? What causes a kid to become homeless? And it's usually these underlying issues. Maybe it's poverty, or maybe there's a stigma about gender or sexuality that can lead to youth homelessness. Why are men, why are so many men locked up in prison? Like, if you really peel it back, a lot of it stems from issues of poverty and unequal access to housing and education. So they don't have the same opportunities that others have. So I think just being a champion and an advocate, so that when you're at home with your family or you're out with your friends, like, you can talk about the issues, because we have to kind of peel back what's happening. And 180 degrees serves populations that are often devalued or overlooked. People that have been in prison, or a kid that's actually being trafficked. People might look down on a young person like that, or a kid who runs away or gets involved, with the police because they're not being taken care of by their family. So maybe they're stealing something, or maybe they're really mad and they're throwing rocks and, breaking a window. I think just being aware of what other kids are going through is important.
You want us to turn us over into social justice?
Yes, exactly.
What are some common misconceptions about people who have been to prison?
Well, what we see a lot is a lot of people feel like, oh, if you go to prison, you're dangerous, you can't be trusted, and also you don't want to change. But that's the opposite. A lot of guys that we see that come to us is like they are at a point in life where they want to start the lifestyle, they want to make a change in their life.
They want to switch it to 180 degrees.
Right. And a lot of times, what you see on paper for individuals is opposite in actually what you see in person with individuals. So if we do have a conditional release, we read a document and then see that there's a lot of stuff in there that says this person is this and that and the other. But when we work with them face to face, it's different. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys are passionate, they want to do the right things. They got kids, they got family they want to go back to. So we see a lot of time guys will say, well, I'm tired of this lifestyle. I just want to turn my life around and do the right things.
On a related note, so there's this old argument that ex-convicts, they don't deserve nice things. That if they can't get housing or jobs, that's on them. Boo-hoo, you shouldn't have committed that crime. Our taxpayer dollars should be going towards schools and not criminals. What's your usual response to that?
Well, so what I always say to that is, like, a lot of time, a person that commit a crime, they don't get sent to prison forever. Guys get 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. They have to return back to society. So once they return back to society, it's our job to wrap around them to make them better in society. So we can't just stigmatize them for the rest of their life because they committed a crime. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to kind of put our hands around them, make sure that they can actually become tax-paying citizens.
Especially since I think you mentioned while getting tour was very nice. A building, by the way, that a lot of them have been in and out of prison since they were juveniles, as kids. So that'd be like, I'm trying to look at like the stupidest things that I did when I was in high school and I'm 30 now and being judged for that one thing. For us, like that would be so humiliating and so like, what would be the point of that even?
Right.
Oh no, I accidentally stole someone else's towel because I forgot mine at band camp. So this apartment building that we're sitting in is housing specifically for men reentering society. I'm surprised that you got the funds and city permission to build it, considering how much our government and society seems to hate previously incarcerated and currently incarcerated people.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Yes, we're in this beautiful building here in downtown Minneapolis, within walking distance of the Target Field where the Minnesota Twins play professional baseball.
I thought you didn't want to punish them.
It's transit friendly. I mean, this is the North Loop neighborhood of Minneapolis, very trendy, up and coming. And it's probably the last place that you'd think the city would allow a place for 72 men who've been released from prison. Nobody wants a building like this in their neighborhood or their community. Most people would fight this tooth and nail. It took at least 5 years for this building to get built, to get through all the regulation. But in fact,
it's not that big of a building. It's only
5 stories. Yeah. But the city was pretty cooperative getting it done because I think they see like this is a solution to ending homelessness. Like choices, men are released from prison with nowhere to go and they can be out on the streets, or we can invest in a building and house these men and connect them with services on site and really help them reconnect with their families. That's not easy after you've been locked up for 5, 10, 20 years. It's hard to find a job. Getting things like a license, it's not an easy task when you might be struggling with mental health issues. So anyway, long story short, the building's great. It's in a great neighborhood and we're lucky to be here.
So most of your buildings and operations are in the Twin Cities. For the uninitiated, that is Minneapolis and St. Paul. But you're working on opening one in Rochester, which is about an hour and a half south. What are some other ways you hope to expand future?
Yeah. Well, the Rochester youth shelter is really important. We have a shelter there now. It's operated since the mid-1980s. It was actually an old farmhouse. And then it was repurposed to become this, like a group home for kids who really didn't have a safe place to go. So maybe they are experiencing neglect at home. Maybe their parents are unable to care for them because the parents are dealing with addiction. Maybe the kids are gay and they get kicked out and the kids run, or the parents really say that they have to leave the home. So these are all kids that are at risk for homelessness, that are at really high risk for being exploited and trafficked if they're on their own for too long. They risk becoming involved with the justice system. Maybe they're going to commit a crime to get their needs met. So it's important that kids like this have a safe place to go and find pathways forward. So our farmhouse, served kids ages 14 to 19. We've probably had 2,000 kids go through that building. You can imagine like that many teenagers, what the place looks like 30 years later. It's long overdue for rehab. So we're actually going to tear that building down. And right now we have a brand new youth shelter that is under construction on our property. And it will serve 12 kids at a time. It's a beautiful building, light-filled spaces, space for kids to be kids. Like, these are teenagers. It's not easy to be in a shelter with a number of kids for 3 months. And so we actually listened to kids when we had an architect develop the building, and kids told the architect what they wanted. So the new building will have private bedrooms, so the kids have their own space. It'll have sensory rooms, so kids that struggle with being in a noisy setting, if they start to feel stressed out, can go to their quiet space in the shelter. It will have rooms for art and gaming and recreational activities. There's an on-site classroom. So it's going to be a really great facility. We're the only youth shelter in all of southern Minnesota. Like, if you were to drive end to end, for those people that don't live in Minnesota, it's several hours.
Yeah.
And so
it took me 3 hours to get from Minneapolis to like the South Dakota border for an outdoor event last year. And so it would have taken me, in order to go from there to, Hudson, which is right on the border of Wisconsin, that would have been 3.5 to 4 hours. And you're saying that there is no other youth shelter?
no.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So if you're a kid living in a small town, rural communities, if you're gay, you don't have a lot of support or free sources. Our program is there to really serve any kid that's in need. And 12 bedrooms is probably not enough, but it does make a difference. And we can also, if our beds are full, we have other shelters around the state. One in St. Cloud, one in Chanhassen here in the Twin Cities. So we can, we try to maximize space for kids in need.
For those freshly out of jail or prison who are feeling lost, who don't know what to do, what is a message that you hope to send them?
Yeah, I would say, take one step at a time and always ask for help if you need help, because there's a lot of agencies out there, like 180, like different agencies out there that are willing to help you. So ask the right questions, ask the right people. Don't give up, because we live in a world where people are judgmental. People want to see that once you with the prison, your life should stop right there. So just keep asking the right questions and keep showing up and just being yourself.
So you really do listen when you don't judge.
Yes.
Anything else?
Well, I would just say that, the U.S. spends billions to lock people up, but they spend very, very little to help them get reintegrated into society. So that's why our programs here at 180 Degrees really matter. As a nonprofit, we're trying to fill a big gap in the system.
Why would the U.S. government spend so much money to incarcerate people? And then, isn't the whole point of incarceration to get them to learn their lessons so they're better people afterward and not worse, more desperate?
I might challenge that. I think it's about locking people up to address public safety, and very little is spent on rehabilitation. Very, very little. So it feels like a life is wasted. If you're locked up in prison, you're not leaving, for the most part. You're not coming out ready to return to the community. And so that's why 180 Degrees exists, is to fill that gap. And in the long run, these men that we're serving, they're needed in their communities. Their fathers, their brothers, their sons. The communities are stronger when they go back to those communities and can contribute and connect and be present for their kids and their the rest of their family members. So that's why we're here.
Well, you're saying that the American government is causing a huge problem and not solving it? I don't know. I don't buy it. Was there anything else that you wanted to say in this interview? No? Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Give me my microphone, please.
In a field where angels sing, fairy dust and golden rings, queens of old with strength from within, rise above with a gentle spin. Through the war with hearts they fight, wings like steel in soft moonlight, farm Rise up, queen, in the night so bright. Carry on through dawn's soft light. With a whisper, fierce and kind, lead the way, free your mind. Women tall like ancient trees, bend but never break with ease. Farmers' hands, gentle touch, in their grace powers much. Angels dance on fields of hay, fairies guide through night and day. Warriors with crowns unseen, queens of freedom, hearts pristine. Rise up, queen, in the night so bright. Carry on through dawn's soft light. With a whisper, fierce and kind, lead the way, free your mind. We were sparks in the endless night, shadows cast by a distant light. Fragile frames, but hearts of steel. They thought we'd bend, but we learned to feel. Through the void, we carved our name against the odds. We lit the flame. Rise up, we're breaking through the stars. Human spirit, burning like quasars. Rise up, they'll never see us fall. One small voice, but it echoes through it all. They said we'd crumble, they said we'd fade, but we are storms that the heavens made. Our blood runs fire, our dreams won't die. We touch the edge of the infinite sky. Through the dark, we find our way. Turn the night into endless day. Rise up, we're breaking through the stars. Human spirit, burning like quasars. Rise up, they'll never see us fall. One small voice, but it echoes through it all.